Hey guys, so this is Ingrid and today I'll be talking about a lot of things. So I hope you guys could have a comfortable sit, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would like to listen to me. Starting with the first one, I will give you guys a context first. This is about a course that I joined at the beginning of our ICC course. It was at the beginning of our semester, and then our lecturer instructed us to pick a course in Coursera, join that, and then experience the whole, the process in the Coursera itself, because it will be related to something that we will be doing like toward the end of the semester, which is right now. I think it will be for our final assignment. The course that I was taking, it is English and Academic Preparation for Pre-Collegiate, and this is by Rice University. To simply put, the general objective of this course is to prepare students who are fresh graduates from high school with the skills that are going to be necessary for academic English in higher education, specifically in United States culture, university culture. And then this course is consisted of 4 modules. First module is about listening, speaking, and critical thinking skill. The second module is about writer's workshop, so it's all about practicing your writing. And then the third module is about reading and note-taking. This is really interesting. I found that later on, because especially in the note-taking, there are some like unique note-taking techniques that us Indonesian, I don't think we are really familiar with that, but I found it through this course, and I thought it would be really beneficial if we use this kind of techniques in our daily lives, especially when we are taking notes during lectures. The fourth module, it's capstone project, so it's basically like a project which consisted of earlier skills and also topics that we have talked about, and it's all consisted in this one module and this one final assignment. It required us to have an indirect interaction with fellow participants in the course, and I found that really interesting, even though like none of us really replied to each other's comments, but to be able to see what other people was doing was really nice to me, because I feel like I'm not really alone. I'm such a people person, so being in this Coursera kind of made me feel isolated because everything was independent and I was doing it at home mostly. So that's that. But anyways, I hope you guys could accept that, and then that's for the introduction. Now let's move on to the next one. Alright, so now let's talk about Byram's 5 Savoirs and also Gibbs' reflective cycle, and how these two collaborates and could be used to reflect back on my taking a course for my ICC course, if that makes sense. Starting with the first one, attitude, which is from Byram's 5 Savoirs, and it correlates or integrates with feelings and also conclusion from Gibbs' reflective cycle. In this part, I found openness and curiosity toward learning and cultural difference. What does that mean? So in this stage, I had a mindset that I was really struggling at first with my course, because I found the course was not really interesting for me, because like the material inside, I was already so familiar with that. But through times, my disinterested about the course shifted to appreciation. I showed a growing openness to engage with familiar content in a new way. I treated that familiar content in a way that it refreshed my knowledge again. And I was trusting the process that I somewhat found something new that I learned through this Coursera. And I did. And that realization, when it hit me, I just felt so satisfied with myself, because I realized that I really am eager to learn and I should be more patient with the process. And then let's move on to the next one. Now the next part, it is about knowledge integrated with description and analysis. So in this part, it is about understanding cultural practices and context. In this stage, I found out that academic norms like plagiarism and structured writing as culturally embedded, and it deepened my cultural knowledge. I didn't know that it was that deep, but I realized when I was like doing the course that I was learning something new, a new norms from another country, or like from another culture, which in this case is from the US higher academic culture. And for like plagiarisms, I found it really similar to what we have in here, what I was taught by my lecturer about it, and how by the end of the day, as an academic, we should be an ethical writer. So that's really interesting, an interesting like refreshment of knowledge that I already mentioned in the first part. So yeah, that's for the second part. Let's move on to the next part. The next part, we have interpreting and relating combined with evaluation and analysis. So there will be a lot of analysis here, bear with me. So in this stage, like I found out that we are comparing and relating our cultural perspectives. In this stage, I was taken to reflect back on how my study habits and environment aligned or like conflicted with US academic expectations. Not necessarily like that, actually. I was like having a little bit of struggle in terms of keeping up with the Coursera self-pace. See, that's weird because the Coursera doesn't have a pace because it depends on yourself. But that's the struggle that I was like encountering because I'm really such a people person, and I'm used to have routines with people and have an interaction with people. But since I have to learn about this course and also like trying to adapt the US culture inside the course, I was also trying to manage on how I keep up my self-paced study, even though I feel isolated about it and sometimes also unmotivated. But then when I reflect back on that experience, I found out that my study habits heavily influenced by my environments. So that's that for the interpreting and relating. Now let's move on to the next one. Alright, so now last but not least, we have critical cultural awareness and combined with conclusion and also action plan from Gibbs' reflective cycle. So in this part, it is about ethical reflection on my own and others' cultural practices. In this stage, I wrote on my note that I evaluated my learning behavior critically and committed to more intentional, disciplined approaches in the future. By that I meant, I really hope that in the future, if I were to take another Coursera again, I hope that I could make more like committed time for that, not being distracted by anything else. And if I were have to like juggle with other responsibilities, I really do aim to have like a more structured priorities, because back then it was really messed up. I felt like if I was too committed with the Coursera, my assignments for my class would be like left behind, and if I was too committed with the class assignment, the Coursera will get left behind. So it's kind of like it's always wrong wherever I stepped on. So that's why my action plan, like the real one, if I were to take another course like this, I really hope that I could have like a designated time for that, because it's such a nice thing to learn something new, you know. And if you don't like make time for that, I personally feel sad about it because I couldn't invest the way I should be in the best way I can for that. And knowledge is really such an expensive thing, but it's actually really easy to get, and some people out there really just put out their own like they share knowledge with zero money with that. So that's really like something like admirable, and I really love that. So that concludes my reflection on my Coursera experience combined with the 5 Saviors by Byram and also the Gibbs reflective cycle. I hope this video could give you guys a new insight, or maybe like kickstart a reflection in your own experience with anything. And by the way, this is really applicable with any types of occasion in life. It doesn't have to be like academic related. It could be like something really personal, you know, like your own growth. Use Gibbs reflective cycle. And if you want to like get really analytical, maybe you could dive deeper into Byram's 5 Savoirs and try to see the correlation of each element with the interaction you have in real world with people from diverse cultures. Especially you, Indonesian, we are basically from, each of us are from different cultures, and that itself is already intercultural communication. At least I take it like that. And that's all. Thank you so much guys for sticking with me, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye.